Magic the Gathering Secret Lair. Goblins, fairies, superheroes, detectives, and cowboys. We've got women, we've got woman, we've got rock and roll, and we've got rock. We've got dirt, we've got dirt, and we've got dirt. With a lizard. Secret Lair dogs, Secret Lair cats, Secret Lair frogs, Secret Lair rats, birds, squirrels, slime, and ponies. We've even got a good Secret Lair. What a veritable treasure trove of creativity. And money. Speaking of, Clams, what's the status of my Secret Lair order? Drat. I guess I'll just make my own then. And with the announcement of Universes Beyond, anything's fair game. I'll just take one of my favorite IPs and mix it with Magic card design. What could possibly go wrong? Shh! We don't talk about that anymore. One, Guardian of All. 1 white-black hybrid mana for a legendary creature, Gallifreyan, power of 0, toughness of 1. You can't lose the game. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may sacrifice 1 Guardian of All, and if you don't, lose 10 life. At the beginning of your end step, if you sacrificed at least 2 other creatures this turn, exile 1 Guardian of All, then return him to the battlefield transformed under his owner's control. Yes, he's a double-sided card. We'll get to the back in a second, but I think I need to talk about the front real quick. Color-wise, I settled with mixing white and black. First Doctor was always one for structure and security, 2 traits represented by the color white. He's also rather selfish, placing his own companions in harm's way in order to garner more knowledge. Selfishness and carelessness represented by the color black. Those traits overlap too. Fans of modern Doctor Who may remember this line about the 11th Doctor.
And never, ever let him see you age. He doesn't like endings.
That trait harkens all the way back to the First Doctor. He clung to companions for what he perceived to be their own good, but in reality it was due to his own insecurities. Don't believe me? Just look at the ending of The Massacre, where the First Doctor has a complete mental breakdown upon Stephen Taylor leaving him. And I get it, we all love Stephen, but black and white also works because, Eesh, tough crowd. You can't lose the game. I know, that's a big, powerful ability, but the next ability forces you into a 2-turn clock, where if the opponent deals with this after your second turn, you lose. It's a bit of a gamble, which is a design space I've seen white cards using more, and black has used a fair bit too, and I love it. Added to that, this card is pretty easy to deal with. It's very fragile. This also represents the very real, sad story behind the First Doctor. William Hartnell had undiagnosed arteriosclerosis while filming the show, and it's kind of hard to separate the fiction from the reality in the case of the First Doctor, since he was always forgetting lines and was clearly lacking a lot of energy by the end of the show. It's bittersweet, but we'll always remember him as the person who gave us Doctor Who. It's got a little bit heavier than I expected. Let's have David Tennant cheer us up.
I'd bring back William Hartnell, who played the First Doctor in 1963, and I'd bring him back and go, look at this! Look, still going! Still going! We're all still here. Is he here?
We must have something in my eye. 1 Guardian for All transforms after 2 other creatures you control are sacrificed on your turn. 1 Doctor for All. A colorless legendary Doctor Planeswalker with 3 starting loyalty. First ability, +2. Exile the top card of each player's library. Lose life equal to the number of non-land cards exiled this way. You may play cards exiled this way, and you may spend mana or mana of any color to cast those spells. Another powerful ability, as we've experienced now with Tybalt, but I think it's fairly balanced with the life loss. You also don't get a permanent emblem to cast those spells. +5. If you win the flip, put an indestructible counter on up to 1 target creature you control. If you lose the flip, shuffle 1 Doctor for All into his owner's library, then draw a card. I personally love gambling mechanics in Magic, and this ability tempts you to use it for its massive loyalty boost, as well as a pretty useful indestructible counter in some circumstances. The punishment isn't too nasty either, since you do get to draw a card out of it. This ability obviously being inspired by the TARDIS malfunctioning trope used in every single episode of the First Doctor's era. Finally, the ultimate, minus 13. You win the game. Simple, because he's the Doctor. And it echoes the front side of the card's ability pretty well. Don't worry, this is probably my most fan-winky card design. The card is pretty broken, but it's just for fun, and I wanted to explore Magic card design with Doctor Who lore. I mean, if you played this card with Optimus Prime, a real Magic the Gathering card, it would definitely be broken. 2. Foolhardy Clown. 1 generic and a white for a legendary planeswalker with starting loyalty 3. The Second Doctor was a funny guy, a departure from the grumpy old stoicism of the First Doctor. Now this Doctor's a bit more of a goofy uncle. So I considered red for the color identity here, because red cards tend to give off a clownish personality, but the Second Doctor really isn't passionate enough to embody red. He is, however, very sacrificial, so I stuck with mono white. Minus 1. Exile up to 2 target creatures, then return them to the battlefield under their owner's control. Flicker. Flicker's a pretty goofy ability, in my opinion, that white has access to, and Patrick Troughton brought a bouncy energy to the role, as well as the idea that the Doctor runs away, a phrase so popular that it is the first line he says when he comes back to the show in 2005. Run. It's not like a cowardly running away, more of a, we're in danger, might be best to escape and get our bearings move. A more flavorful usage of this mentality would be, minus 2, reveal the top card of your library, then draw a card. Return 2 Foolhardy Clown to his owner's hand. White card draw, yay! Like everyone else, I've been thinking about ways white can draw more cards more effectively. That still fits within the color pie. Personally, I think telegraphing your moves is a flavorful way of doing just that. Imagine a military commander announcing their plans to the enemy as a way to reach some sort of diplomatic forfeit. I don't know, it seems good to me. Leave a comment down below if you disagree. Or agree. Or just want to say hi. It's lonely up here. This ability also returns the Second Doctor to your hand. This is helpful because all of his abilities are subtractive. Minus 3. Search your library for a Planeswalker card with converted mana cost 3 or less. Reveal it, then shuffle and put that card on top of your library. Remember when I said the Second Doctor was selfless? Well, my favorite Second Doctor moment is when he calls the Time Lords to help him save many innocent lives, all while being aware that doing so will end up in his execution. And what to tutor up? Mayhaps the Third Doctor? 3. Scientific Advisor. 1 generic, a blue and a red, for a legendary planeswalker with starting loyalty of 3. Red and blue are the perfect colors for the Third Doctor. He's the Artificer Doctor, and I can't think of another Doctor that just fiddled with tech all the time, so my design is all about artifacts, a blue and red design space primarily. Plus 1, untap up to 1 target artifact you control. For each artifact untapped this way, tap target creature an opponent controls. It doesn't untap during its owner's next untap step. I have always loved this scene.
Arun, 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 Arun.
That's why his first ability is kind of hypnosis with artifacts. Moving on. Minus 2. You may choose an artifact you own from outside the game, reveal it, and put it into your hand. I know, it's Karn's ability, minus the ability to pull from exile, because I actually agree with Mark Rosewater when he says,
the only things that should get cards out of exile are themselves or the card that put them there.
Plus, the Third Doctor is in exile, so how could he get stuff out of there? Minus 6. 3. Scientific Advisor deals X damage to any target, where X is the number of artifacts you control. This damage can't be prevented. Sure, the tech is neat and all, but just wait till 3 pulls up the Venusian Aikido. 4. Unfettered Rascal. A blue and a green for a legendary planeswalker with 3 starting loyalty. I'll give you a second. What do you think his first ability is going to be? That's right! +2, create a food token. Good job. And yes, I can hear you through your computer. And yes, I also know what you're thinking.
Duet this with your baby, and I can make them laugh.
No! God, please, no! No! No!
4 is similar to Oko, but in a neutral good sort of way. He's also not broken, might I add. In fact, I'd say this is probably my weakest design for all of these Doctor cards. +1. Up to 1 target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn and can't be blocked this turn. The 4th Doctor was always a little wily, very good at sneaking and making his companions sneak around for him. -5. Look at the top 3 cards of target player's library and then put them back in any order. You may shuffle that library. Add 3 mana of any one color. This card kind of plays out to me like a nice summary of the 4th Doctor's modus operandi. Wander into a place and offer someone candy to gain their trust or threaten them. Sneak around or get Leela to sneak around for you. Mess around with the infrastructure and wires and stuff, and then come out 10 steps ahead, and bing bang boom, you lose. Usually. The 4th Doctor is popular for a reason. He's proud, he's curious, and overwhelmingly clever. Do not underestimate him. Trust me, you do not want to find yourself on the wrong side of this guy.
I wouldn't even say no to a salami sandwich.
5. Brave-hearted chap. Let me preface this with, I don't really care for the 5th Doctor. There are some great episodes, sure, but I definitely understand why this is the era where the BBC started toying with the idea of cancelling the show. Now let me make it clear for the record, I like the 5th Doctor. I like all the Doctors. I'm a Doctor Who fan, but on a sliding scale, he's easily bottom of the list. If you disagree, fight me in the comments below, dislike the video, and subscribe. +1, gain control of all creatures you own, proliferate. We all know the 5th Doctor is the one with all the companions. A standout moment for me in his era was also his relationship with Turlo, a man who was tasked with assassinating the Doctor. But the Doctor showed him the good in his heart and saved him from the Black Guardian's influence. -3, create a token that's a copy of target non-legendary creature. The reasoning for this is more along the lines of Magic design, what with green and white being the creature token colors. I also suppose Chameleon can impersonate people. Yeah, that's it. -8, choose any number of creature tokens you control. Put your choice of a lifelink counter, a trample counter, a hexproof counter, or an indestructible counter on each of them. Sacrifice 5, brave-hearted chap. For me, the 5th Doctor's defining moment is, of course, when he sacrifices his life for Perry's. I seem to really like episodes where Doctors die. It's kind of fucked up. Clams, scan my brain for anomalies.
Oh, hi, Mark. What's new with you?
Yeah, that makes sense. 6. The Pragmatic. 1 white, 2 blue, and a black for a legendary planeswalker with 4 starting loyalty, and a static activated ability of whenever you discard a card, gain 1 life, and opponents lose 1 life. +2. Draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards. The 6th Doctor just never stops talking, so I wanted to do something with drawing and discarding. Doing both at the same time feels like he's just berating you, and you lose life because of that. So let's do that in a big way. -8. Exile all artifacts and enchantments. Each player discards their hand, draw cards equal to the number of cards discarded this way. But Taylor, you're thinking. Remember, I can read your mind. But Taylor, why exile all artifacts and enchantments? Well, Ted, and I know your name too. It's so it doesn't combo with any harder to deal with permanents, enchantments. Psychic Corrosion, Psychosis Crawler, Well of Lost Dreams, Ominous Seas, Teferi's Tutelage. I don't want this to go crazy. It's a pretty damn good ability already, but on the flip side, you get rid of your opponent's artifacts and enchantments too, as well as your own. This Doctor also managed to hold his own shockingly well in the Matrix, a feat that other unnamed Doctors didn't manage that well. And what is the Matrix if not one big artifact enchantment? All that and Esper, the white, blue, and black shard, usually deals with artifacts enchantments in some way, so it all felt appropriate color-wise. As for the flavor of the Doctor constantly talking down to his opponents so much that they forget what they're doing, you now have maybe 10 or more cards in your hand if you've played it right, and if the Doctor is still on the battlefield, he goes, "And another thing."
Carrot juice. Carrot juice, carrot juice, carrot juice.
7. Chessmaster. Alright, I know, last one for the video, and I kinda took the easy route. We all know the 7th Doctor is the Doctor connected to chess. I mean, he only played it once, but The Curse of Fenric is a pretty great episode. I know it's the easy choice. Take me to court if you've got a problem with that. Uh-oh. I went the easy choice with the flavor, but I think these abilities are really cool, and I believe I've kind of made a new mechanical niche for Grixis. Although, you could say Nicol Bolas already fills it. +1, target opponent reveals their hand. 7, Master of Chess deals X damage to that player, where X is the number of non-creature, non-land cards in their hand. The way 7 bested his enemies was by talking them into logical fallacies and backing them into a corner, and using their own strengths against them. -3, choose a card name. Search target opponent's hand and library for up to 4 cards with that name and exile them. That player shuffles their library. Now that's what I call game theory.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory!
Not that game theory, this game theory. -8, target opponent exiles a card from their hand face down, choose a card name, that opponent reveals their hand. If the card you named is in their hand, they lose the game. This is an ult I'm very proud of. Magic needs more mind games, in my opinion, and how cool is that? Utilizing his blue, the knowledge, gained from earlier to make you gamble red to outwit the opponent into immediate loss, black. And that's Magic the Gathering Secret Lair Classic Doctor Who Fan-Made Edition. It's a bit wordy. Clams, set a reminder to fix that title later. Reminder set. Sex that Titan Gator. Close enough. What did you think? Do you like my designs? How would you design a Doctor Who Planeswalker? Leave a comment and I'll engage you in conversation below. Also, like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and I'll be back soon with all the modern Doctors. Allow me to play you out. Oh, and yes, the 8th Doctor is a modern Doctor. He debuted after I was born, so he's modern to me.